If you're like me and you've increasingly become concerned with the content that's been put out for children over the past few years, books and cartoons and movies and everything, and the absolute garbage that is being produced these days for children, then this is definitely an episode for you, because book fairs have been infiltrated by this as well. And so I'm excited to talk to Riley Lee, who is the CEO and president of SkyTree Book Fairs. I hope you'll enjoy this episode of the Coffee and Kidlit Show. Let's get to it. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Riley.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just talking off camera about how our businesses really align. As a book designer and as a an author coach, I'm looking to help authors really put out wholesome books, and SkyTree wants to promote those wholesome books to schools and other places. So it's just a really great connection. Riley, just give us a little bit of background, not only your background, but also about SkyTree and why it was launched.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I come from a long line of uh, public school teachers. My parents have been teachers for the past 25, almost 30 years. And I was a teacher myself, a seventh grade science teacher, which if you're a seventh grade or middle school teacher, I'm praying for you because it's a tough age to teach. But um, through those experiences, and then I was in the publishing world for a little bit, working for a publisher, and got to work with Kurt Cameron on some of his projects, and we were doing a book tour with him, and so a lot of that planning and seeing the hope that he was going around reading his book, which is a really wholesome children's book, and we were going into public libraries, and it was really cool to see just how many people wanted that kind of material. They wanted something that was uplifting and positive, and they had so much joy when they left those. We were doing book readings, and when they left those readings, they were just filled up, with just hope and joy. And from that kind of came this idea that like we could do more. Like instead of just going to public libraries, we could go to schools where almost every American or anywhere goes to a public or private or charter school. Most kids are in a traditional school setting. And so, kind of, this idea was born through that experience, just to have a way to promote age appropriate, wholesome literature in schools. And so that was where SkyTree was created.
It's just really great, and I was kind of following along with Kirk's journey, publishing his book and seeing all this controversy in the news
Sure.
around the whole thing, and just when SkyTree started to sort of hit the headlines. I guess it was late last year.
Mhm.
Uh, I just got really excited because I think it's a phenomenal project, and so like when I was a kid in the 80s going to public school, we had Scholastic, right?
Yeah.
And it was great. I looked forward to seeing all those books. I don't know if I ever got to purchase one because it always seemed too expensive, but um,
Right.
that's that was a fun thing back then, and I'm sure a lot of kids still look forward to it. But just tell us a little bit about what is happening with Scholastic and why there was this need for SkyTree.
Yeah, great question. So I'm the same way, right? Scholastic was such a nostalgic experience as a kid, right? Like the book fair comes, and when I was little, I hated reading. I really did not. I don't know. I was really into sports. I was like always on the move, and but when like the book fair came to town, it was like I'm gonna buy like. I just started reading. I loved it. And I feel like I would buy a book. I would like read a chapter and then forget about it, but it was still really
Right.
exciting. Um, And, the shift that we've seen, I think, in so many companies is this desire to appeal to a very small subset of people that want certain material for their children to be exposed to. That being like explicit content, critical race theory, LGBTQ material. And there's this push, there's directly from Scholastic and a lot of publishers out there, to be honest, there's this push to create more of that kind of content and really focus on that. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that like Scholastic is awesome. They do a really great, they publish a lot of really great books. It's really sad, to be honest, that they're putting such a big focus on this type of literature that really not a lot of people want. And we're seeing that because a lot of people want to move to SkyTree because we're saying, hey, like we're giving you the opportunity to not have to worry about these inappropriate, non-age appropriate books. Most people really desire that. So yeah, it's sad. We've seen, many parents that they don't even let their kids go to school during the book fair week because they are just so unsure of the kind of material that's going to be in the book fair, which is just sad, like to not, I mean, I get it as a parent. I would understand why you wouldn't want your kids to go to the Scholastic Book Fair, but that's kind of sad. That's the way the world has gone, So
Yeah.
For me, I'm always someone that thinks about, instead of just complaining about problems, like how do we find a solution, right? How do we insert something into the world that offers a solution to those who want it? And there's going to be people who don't want SkyTree, and that's perfectly fine. That's why we live in America, right? There's options. But I think there are enough people that desire this, and we've seen that already with the schools wanting to host with us and the parents that are so excited that we're doing this. So yeah.
I was just talking to my mom, I guess it was over the weekend or last week. She has a friend who is a school librarian. I don't know if she's retired now or not, but I believe she was at a private school and they would have Scholastic come. And she said every year she would have to go through every book to make sure that there wasn't anything there that would be offensive for their audience or for their their families. And so what's the process for SkyTree? I'm sure you're taking every book into account, and they're sent in to you and vetted. Talk us through that.
Yeah, and what you mentioned about librarians, that's something that we've heard time and time again. Or something else that we've heard is like the parents will be allowed to come in before the book fair and like kind of look at the books, but there's hundreds of books in a book fair and they don't have the time to sit there and read every single book. So
and I'm sure while they're looking at that book, their kid is running over and grabbing another book and saying, "Oh, this one." Oh.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. So our books, we have a review process. We actually went through all of our review books yesterday because we have so many. Everyone's been so generous to be sending us their books. And we were talking off camera, like we need more people to write really great books that we can have in our book fair. But yeah, every kind of the first test, just to be completely honest with you, that a book goes through, and this might shock some people, but the first test that a book goes through is like, would a kid look at this and want to buy it? Because different than any other like selling mode, I guess, like you are advertising and marketing to children. You're not advertising and marketing to their parents. So it's sad, but the first step, and this may be something you can use in your business, is the cover. Like the cover has to be intriguing and pulling the kids in. Like your books are so good at doing that. And so that's kind of like, to just be completely honest, that's like that's a really big part of it, because
we do judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, kids are kids especially do this. And I think there's some really great books out there that just kids would not want to pick it up. And it's hard. That's a tough aspect to it. But beyond that, the kind of the content of the books, we screen all of our books. And so we have a review team, and we have like a review sheet. It looks like a rubric that each book goes through. And so that includes sexualized material, including LGBTQ material, dark magic. So we do have magic in our books. So like, but there's a line, I think, when it comes to dark magic. And then foul language, CRT, pornography. So those are like our main tenets. And then there's some there's other things that we kind of internally screen for. We don't want, parents to spend their hard-earned money on books that are just like garbage, that aren't really like, they're just bad books at the end of the day. Like they don't really have like a good storyline and all the things. So we kind of have some underlying things that we screen for as well, but those are our main tenets. And then, we just source the book and carry it in our fairs.
Hey authors, I hope you're really enjoying this content today, and I wanted to give you a free gift. If you head over to my website, launchmissioncreative.com, you'll see a button at the top for the beta test checklist. If you have just finished up your manuscript and you're working on the self-editing phase of your book, or maybe you're almost ready to move on to an editor and you want to do that beta test correctly, I've developed a whole checklist of 40 questions that you can ask your beta readers to really maximize the feedback that you get. If you're like me previously and I've just asked readers what they thought of the book, you get these really fluffy, basic answers, and usually they may be afraid to really tell you the truth. And they may say, "Oh, this is wonderful. This was such a great story." Well, using these questions that I have on this checklist, you will really get some detailed feedback in 7 buckets, 7 categories that we look at. So be sure to download that today by going to launchmissioncreative.com, and you'll see the link at the top of the page. Thanks so much. So I guess along with that, are there certain formats that you look for? I know, I'm self-published, but I know you also carry traditionally published books. So what types of books are you looking for? Are there different genres that really do well, or different formats? Like I said, are there other types of merch that you would take?
Yeah, good questions. Okay, so we really service K through 8th grade. So we really aren't set up right now to have like high school only book fairs, you could say. So I would say the easiest books to screen and pass are like board books and picture books, because typically they're not hitting on really hard issues. Or if they are, they're still for like a child. And it's pretty easy. It's easy to read it, and like it can be screened fairly quickly. So yeah, we have board books, picture books, easy chapter books. So you could think of something like Goonie Bird Green or like the Good Dog series. I don't know if you're familiar with either of those. And then graphic novels are massive right now. So graphic novels, I personally cannot stand to read graphic novels. But kids love them right now. It's all the rage. So that's definitely something that we're growing, that category. Middle grade novels, reference. So reference is like joke books and coloring books and cookbooks. Cookbooks are really big among kids right now, I would say. Like how-to books, I guess, like how to build your Legos in a certain way. Those are really big. So those are pretty much our categories. We work with a lot of different publishers. So we love that about kind of our process is the only publisher we don't work with is Scholastic right now, by design. So we won't ever carry their books. But we do work with kind of the mainstream publishers and then self-published or smaller publishers as well. Our like main subset of our collection of books is secular. So we do have Christian titles because we go to private schools. But our main books are secular so that we can serve public and private. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Are you able to take the Christian books into the public school, or do they say, no, we just want mainstream topics?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we typically don't send overtly Christian books to a public school. Now, if they say like, hey, we're okay with Christian titles, then we will. But books that are overtly Christian, like telling a Bible story or anything like that, we are respectful that like, hey, you're a public school, you have certain regulations around what kind of books you can carry. Now, I will say like our secular books still tell, you know, like good lessons and they're still wholesome. So they still, you know, have all that criteria. They don't have sexualized material. They don't have foul language, you know, so all of those things, they're just really great, wholesome, age appropriate books for kids that parents don't have to worry about.
What about, like, I know there's kind of a big difference between print on demand books like Amazon KDP and Ingram Spark printed books and traditionally printed books. Are you able to recognize the difference, and do you prefer, or do you only take the more offset printed books, or how does that work?
Yeah, so there's definitely, you can definitely tell when a book is printed, you know, print on demand. And it's not that we won't take it. We definitely have a couple titles that are print on demand, but that is something we take into consideration. I mean, you said earlier, like the book fair seemed expensive to you as a kid. And so that's something we have to take into consideration is, you know, a book, we look at the quality and we're like, is this a $12 book? Because that's what, I mean, we're getting rates from, you know, we buy at a wholesale rate and then we have to sell a book. We can't sell it, you know, under the list price. So we, you know, so we have to take that into consideration. Is this really like worth the quality of the book for us and for the kids? Like, and something we, in our model that we have to think about is these books are getting shipped to the school. They're displaying them. Kids are touching them. And then the books they don't sell, they get sent back to us. And then we repackage those and send to another school. So if it's not really high quality, sometimes those books come back damaged and then it's just a loss for everybody. So we do take those kind of things into consideration.
So walk us through a little bit what it's like to attend a SkyTree Book Fair.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fun. So we basically the whole process. So a school says, hey, I'm interested, or I know I want to host a SkyTree Book Fair. We have a link online where they can go and they can see what dates are available and they can, you know, set their school up for those dates. A couple months before the fair, they get sent catalogs and just the different things that the kids can take home and kind of sift through and say, oh, I can't wait to see that book at the fair, and all the things. And then right before the fair, right now we send just the fair in boxes and the librarians set up the fair themselves. So the fair comes and there's yard signs and different things like that. And then it's really up to the school how they run the fair. It's all school run. So that it's completely, they have a lot of autonomy in what they want to do. But the kids come in sometimes, you know, librarians will have like a preview day where they just like walk around and they say like, oh, I want to buy this book and I want to buy this book. And then they go home to their mom and dad and they're like, I need X amount of money, you know? And so then they come back and they're able to purchase books. And it's a really fun time for kids because it's, you know, one of the first times that they're doing something on their own, right? They're going and they're understanding how much money they need and they have that autonomy and to buy what they want. And hopefully they come home with the books that they showed their parents that they were going to buy the day before. But yeah, it's really fun. We have lots of great feedback that like what you were talking about earlier, the librarians are just so happy that they don't have to worry about what books are out there for their kids to peruse, and that they're not like on edge of like, oh, is that going to be something that we don't want to expose our kids to?
I love watching the posts on SkyTree Instagram and Facebook. A lot of excitement in the air. I've seen long lines of parents lined up to purchase books and different things. So it's really fun to see. And I know you've got lots of fairs already scheduled throughout the rest of this year, and I'm assuming into next school year, right?
Yes. So this year is crazy. I mean, we did not expect so many schools. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, it's clear that this is something that schools are wanting, because we've already hosted, between online and in-person fairs, we've already hosted 90 fairs this year, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're booking out all the way. We have a school scheduled for not this fall, but next fall. So it is really
Oh, wow.
an exciting time. There's a lot of excitement.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And we've talked a little bit about the different schools. You've got public schools and private schools. Are there any other organizations or other places where they're hosting book fairs?
Yeah. So we do partner with organizations to run book fairs with them. So we've done book fairs with organizations, and they just find a location that they're going to host the fair at, whether that's a church or a community group, like room in their town. And it works really similar to a school. They just have to promote it a little bit more and get the people out there, because a school book fair is done during the school day, and so it's really easy to get the kids there because they're already at school. But it makes it a little more difficult for an organization or like a homeschool group. That's one of our favorite things, is doing it with like a homeschool group, because that's something that they don't really get to experience typically. Yeah, definitely love getting the organizations involved, and it's a great way they can fundraise for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I hadn't thought about homeschool groups, co-ops, and different things. And I guess they can do like a smaller type of fair. It doesn't have to be quite as large as like a public school fair would be.
Yeah, and they can partner. I mean, we encourage people, like, partner with other local organizations, or maybe it's an outreach program for people in your area that may not know about your organization. Like, maybe you are a homeschool group that you want to use this as a way to let people know about you, and so you do it as like a outreach event almost.
Now, I saw on the social media that you have a fundraiser coming up.
We do.
Looks pretty
Yes.
exciting. I don't think this sport has come to Norway yet. If it has, it's not very big. Tell us about it.
Yes, we have a fundraiser coming up, and it's something that, we're always trying to think of fun ideas to get our local community involved. We're in North Houston, so we want to get those people around us involved in, so we're doing a pickleball tournament, and we're really excited about it. And we're going to have a pop-up book fair there, so we just get to showcase kind of some of our collection to the community.
Yeah. Will you be playing pickleball?
I wish. I have played pickleball one time, and I loved it. I mean, I'm more of a runner. So I run, I lift weights, but I'm not super coordinated with like paddle sports. So I will be running the operations, but not actually playing.
You're the runner. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit maybe about the future of SkyTree. Or do you have any plans for expansion or different ideas to try out with the book fairs? I'm even thinking, like, how can authors like sort of come on board and do live readings and different things like that? I don't know what you have in mind, but do you have any sneak peeks of anything you could share with us?
Yeah, it's great. So, and that's an awesome idea. I hadn't even thought about the author online readings, but the future of
That's a
SkyTree is,
selfish thought. That's a
oh yeah.
selfish thought.
I love it though. I love it. So, and that's something that typically like schools really are looking for always is like author visits and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's a good idea. The future of SkyTree. So we're a nonprofit. We're a nonprofit organization, and part of that is that we just want to reach as many schools as possible that want to host and not have to turn any school away, no matter how small they are, no matter where they're located in the United States. Maybe we'll get to Norway one day. But we just really desire that we can have people come alongside of us that can make that happen. So right now, we have about 400 fairs this year, and we just want to see that number grow. And to do that, we have to, our biggest thing right now that we need to do is continue adding titles to our collection. So really schools want a vast variety of books when the book fair comes, because every kid has a different interest, right? Some kids love princesses, and some kids love mystery novels. Some love the graphic novels and all the things. So having a bigger variety of books is something that we are really actively working on. And that's going to just take us to that next level, really. Beyond that, the future, we're praying right now. We're praying about a warehouse. We need more space. We've been blessed with the opportunities to reach all these schools, but we're kind of busting at the seams at our current space. And then, I think, I don't know how far down the line, but we'd love to have a book fair storefront, or a bookstore storefront, where we could just have this collection. We built a collection of screened books that are wholesome and age appropriate, and we love to create that space for people. I think that's selfishly probably one of my biggest dreams, just because I think I love, the bookstore vibe, I guess you could say, like the coffee shop environment. So that would be super, super cool, just to share with the community the books that we love and want to promote.
Yeah, that's actually on my bucket list too. If I can ever move
Oh, that's good.
back to the States, open a children's bookstore for wholesome books. So maybe I can have a SkyTree franchise or something. That would be awesome.
Yes, I would love to collaborate on this, Travis.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I just want to encourage anybody that's watching this, think about, especially if you're an author, consider submitting your book to SkyTree to be carried. Riley just said they need more books. So let's answer that call. And if you have a fun experience with book fairs, leave a comment down below, and we'd love to hear about it. Riley, what's the best way for an author to submit their book?
Yes, we have authors submitting books to us all the time. And right now, specifically, we're in search of middle grade chapter books, graphic novels, like I said. So if you have a book that you'd like to submit to us, you can email us at info@skytreebookfairs.org. And we'll send you the address to send us a copy of your book and get it in our screening process. But yeah, we'd love the opportunity to see the great books that y'all are creating.
Awesome. Well, Riley, again, thank you so much for being on the Coffee and Kidlit Show. It's been great to get to know you a little bit and hear more about what SkyTree has in store. And I hope our audience will really grab on and promote SkyTree as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for creating awesome books that we get to carry. We love Ada and the Helpers. It's actually on our catalog, and kids have been loving it. And we're so grateful that you're doing what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody watching, you know what I like to say at the end: go and write the book. Thanks.